Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Real License Podcast, the only show that's licensed for real. Today's guest, probably the only person, the first person who is not an indigenous St. Thomas person, and she has all the right to be here. She currently serves as one of the vice principals of Morant Bay High School, and that's very important for the Carpe Diem Nation. If you don't know what Carpe Diem stands for, that's seize the opportunity. That's a Morant Bay High School motto. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Alicia King. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I feel
welcome to New York City.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here and to be the first guest that's not a native of St. Thomas. I really feel honored being in this chair and having this interview with you.
By the end of this interview, everybody will see why you deserve to be on this program.
Nice.
So let's go. Let's get into some of the bio stuff.
Okay.
Just tell us, place of origin. Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm a Clarendon girl. I'm a North Clarendon girl.
Specifically, what neighborhood? What's the name of your
I'm
community?
from Kellitz, right?
Okay.
Persons will say that it's bush, but I say that it's a highly vegetated area, right? I'm a proud Clarendon girl, went to Kellitz Primary, then went to Clarendon College. I did my diploma in education at Micro University College, and I did that in library and information studies with a minor too in history. Then I moved on to do my Bachelor's of Education at Micro University College, and then my Master's at the University of the West Indies in Education Administration. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
But a Clarendon girl.
A Clarendon girl.
Yeah.
So, when and how were you drawn to St. Thomas?
To St. Thomas. Wow. I get that question.
And Morant Bay High School in particular.
Listen, I get that question a lot because oftentimes people see me and they see my involvement in Morant Bay High School, and for some reason they think that I was born and bred in Morant Bay and that I would have attended Morant Bay High School. But I came or got to St. Thomas because I was hunting for an opportunity to purchase property. I was actually working in St. Catherine at the time, and I heard of a development in Yalas, and I took an interest in it, and I would have shared with the principal of the school that I was working that there is a likelihood that I may move if it is that I would have been successful in terms of getting that property, and if it is that I got a job in the parish. So as luck would have it, I was successful with that, and I saw the ad in the paper for a librarian at Morant Bay High School, and I just handed in my application, got the job, and I've been in St. Thomas since.
And St. Thomas is your home.
And St. Thomas is now my second home, or my home, my home.
It's probably one of the best decisions you ever made in your life, but of course I'm biased. It's my home. So specifically, Morant Bay High School, you're an educator
Right.
by profession. How did you start at Morant Bay High School? Where did you start exactly in the school?
Well, I would have started at the library. I was the librarian, and I would have been the librarian until I was asked or called to serve, or applied to serve rather, as the acting vice principal. So that's where my substantive post is. That's being the librarian. But I must confess that even though I was the librarian, I felt like I was everything more or everything else, because my responsibilities or the things that I did expanded so much outside of being the librarian. I was involved with clubs and societies. I was at one point the acting manager for the track and field team. So think of something at the school, and I was there in the shadows. So boys' day, girls' day, graduation, open day, prize giving days. Just think of something and I'm there. I serve wherever it is that I'm called to serve.
Oh, okay. And so you started as a librarian and you
Yes.
made it to vice principal. You serve as vice principal now.
Right.
Who is the other vice principal?
Well, the other vice principal is Mrs. Beverly McDermott, and of course our acting principal at the moment is Mrs. Marsha Ford Bryan.
Okay, so vice principals, are supposed to serve the principal. The principal being Mrs. Marsha Ford Bryan.
Right.
I've never met her, but I've seen videos. And
Right.
she's so eloquent.
Oh,
I
listen,
like to
yeah.
hear her speak. Hello to Mrs. Bryan. I've never met her, but I
Yeah.
hope to meet her one day. What are some of the some of the projects that you are supposed to like oversee, some of the administrative projects that you are assigned to,
Right.
and that you are the ones you are most proud of,
All right.
so to speak.
All right. Ooh. All right. So I think within our secondary education, the vice principals have different things that they do. I'm in charge of programs, and by programs, I'm responsible to either initiate or ensure that programs are run that will see to the best version of our students and our staff, and by staff, not just the teaching staff, but also the ANZIL and administrative staff. So I'm in charge of programs, right? And of course, the discipline of the school, the holistic development of our students. You asked for one thing that I'm most proud of. I think I can probably share probably two. Two of the things that I'm most proud of.
Yeah, two things that you are proud of that you have administrative oversight.
Right. So even though I'm sitting in the chair of acting vice principal, when COVID hit and we realized that we had to be doing a lot of our work online, what I did was, in collaboration and communication with other members of the team, my staff, we came up with a program called the LISP program, that is Library Independent Information Seekers Program. And the program is like tweaked to reflect our current context. We realized that students would have to be doing a lot of research, interacting with the internet, doing independent work. And we know that when it comes on to finding information on the internet, not everything is credible. There are a lot of students who do not know how to manipulate the search engines. So the program, the LISP program, as opposed to the regular library program that is taught in school that looks at just types of libraries and use of books and types of encyclopedias, would allow students to learn how to find information that is credible, not just finding the information that is credible, but when it is that they're submitting these sort of information, that they're submitting information that are not plagued with copyright or plagiarism issues. So that's one. The second one is, having come back face to face now, we realized that some of our students weren't achieving the academic standards that we know that they are capable of. So we came up with a program known as the ZOZO program. So it's not the lockdown, it's not in Kingston, it's not that. But ZOZO to mean Zone of Study Operation. So the Zone of Study Operation is a program where we target underperforming students, and it's sort of a homework program where students stay back 3 days for the week and do work, independent work. It's not an after-school teaching program because we want the students to sit in their classes and focus, but it's a program where they find that extra time to just go over their notes, to do their assignments, because again, we take into context or environment. We know that some of our students will be standing in Morant Bay for hours waiting on that transportation, or when they get home, they're so tired that they can't get this assignment done. We know too that some students learn best from pairs, so that 1 hour in the afternoon just sitting and doing independent work, we thought that it was a good idea and initiative to improve the academic performance of our students. We're not taking it for granted to say that, yes, we get the creme de la creme of the students and that everybody, are high achievers. We have to cater to everybody, and our mantra is that no student will get left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds like two very, very important programs.
Indeed.
One of the things I also want to ask you about, I didn't want to get too much into like the status of the school as far as education, because you're here in New York, you're a guest speaker at our alumni reunion here in New York City, and I'm quite sure you have a lot of information to share with us, and we have another episode that will share that information. I want to ask you, because I'm a sports person, played football, all my friends, most of my friends are track and field people. I just want to ask, like, what's going on? For example, a matter of fact, the reason why I want to ask you this, last champs, someone sent me a program, and they were like, they're listed alphabetically, and when I got to the M's, Morant Bay High School didn't even have a team in champs. What's going on with track and field at the school?
Right. I mean, I know that we were, and I want to say are, but our current context is that we were very big on sports, and the history would tell us that Howard Jackson Senior would have started Howard Jackson Relays, and we have a lot of school mimicking that relay. We know too that at Eastern Champs and Boys Champs, Morant Bay High School, our name was beckoned. But again, remember that reality hit. COVID-19 came, and for us, our students were away from training. So for the past 2.5 years, we've not had an active sports program. I must say though, that with pride, and I'm sure Mrs. Forbrand is going to be getting excited at this now, that we would have revamped some of our programs. So this year we have a focus on track and field, right? Football, and netball. So the sports program is slowly coming back on board.
So we'll be back.
Yes.
We'll be back. This is something I wanted to talk to you about. I've always wanted to ask an educator this about, the problems we're having in the parish with the governmental infrastructure.
Right.
The road them back.
Yes. Ooh.
From an educator's standpoint, just speak on how much this affects learning, because it has got to affect learning in a negative way.
Certainly, and I mean, you're here in New York, you're not there, and I can hear the pain in your voice, and I saw it reflected on your face. So we're there every day, and the roads definitely affect us. As an educator, as an adult, and I drive, I get up most morning, and by the time I get to work, I'm cussing, because I'm cussing about the potholes, and I'm cussing about the wear and tear on the vehicle, and how it's going to impact me financially. So I'm cussing, and I drive, and I know too that other teachers would have impacted them in terms of the time, their punctuality, their attendance, because of the roads. Certainly, our students, it has a very negative impact on them, because many of them now are forced to wake up extra early, an hour or two earlier, to try to get something to school. Some of them are stranded. I've witnessed students coming to school at like 10:30, and when you ask them, why are you this late, miss? I couldn't get anything. And imagine having a core subject like mathematics at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you miss an hour of math. You're caught. You're left behind. You are left behind. So it does have a negative impact on our students. It has a negative impact on their emotion. It has a negative impact on their attendance, their punctuality, and certainly the ripple effect is that it does have a negative impact on their academics. And again, I said this is not just for the students, but for the teachers too, because they are operating within this context.
Wow. I hope somebody's listening.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I know work is being done, but we ask for a little, some alacrity, some speed as it pertains to the road improvement.
Okay. I wanted to talk to you about this upcoming 60th anniversary magazine, because that's how we got to know each other.
Yes.
Speak a little bit about it. I know it's still in the works. And,
right.
What should patrons across the world, alumni bodies, expect from this 60th anniversary magazine?
Okay, so it's still in the work, as you said before, and the 60th anniversary is just set to highlight the achievement, the legacy, the contribution of Morant Bay High School and past students of Morant Bay High School. The magazine is set to highlight the contribution in terms of sports, co-curricular activities, to feature some prominent persons, to include Hansa Parchment, Dion Jackson Miller, what's her name, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, right? So those sort of things. It's just to put together a combination of our achievement over the 60 years. I know that we're past the 60th year, but we saw it necessary to still, highlight and put this out there so that it will become a legacy for others to just pick up and look at. And I know that you have an article there too, Gary, in the 60th anniversary magazine.
I was asked to write about the 80s.
A very good article, by the way. So when the magazine is out, please be sure to grab it.
Yours truly was given the task of writing about the entire 80s. I took it seriously.
Yes.
I saw it as an opportunity to let people really understand how much fun it was to attend Morant Bay High School, especially in my time. And the reason why I took it seriously is because I did the math. Like, if I do the calculation for a 10-year period, I'm representing Round about 13,000 people.
Right.
Because in our time there would be an average of 40 people to each class, and I know you guys do the name of the school.
Yes,
like
it's Morant, right.
It's 1M, 1O. Well, we did 1-1, 1-2, 1-3 back then.
Yeah.
So we would go up to like 1-6, sometimes 7 and 8. So if you 40 people to each class, you do the calculations. It's about 13,000 people I was asked to represent. So, I think I did a good job.
You did an awesome job.
And that's how we became friends, because I submitted the article to the
job. I read it, and immediately I called Dr. Brian James, and I was like, Brian, this article is really good. So certainly when the magazine is out and ready, we're still in the process of getting some things done, as I said before, but it's something for persons to look out for.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that one. I hope everybody gets a copy. Alumni Day.
Right.
The other day was Alumni Day.
Yes.
I'm on this side of the world paying attention to social media, and I was excited.
Yes.
It was a movie, if you ask me. Speak a little bit about the preparation for that day, and how did you get so many powerful, famous celebrities to come through and represent?
Yeah.
You were part of the planning for that,
I was a part of the planning. So Alumni Day was celebrated on National Alumni Day. Jamaica has a National Alumni Day. But our president for the Jamaica chapter, Bertram Anderson, he is...
A.K.A. Moss Bertie.
A.K.A. Moss Bertie, A.K.A. Kevin, A.K.A. Sharp Boss. He is just a remarkable human being. I mean, he has been texting my phone long before October to say, hey, Alumni Day is coming up October 12th. These are some of the things that, he wants to do. So my work in terms of assisting with the planning of Alumni Day was really under the direction of the president of the Alumni Association, the Jamaica chapter, Bertram Anderson. Now, in terms of how we got everything to happen and to move like that, I think it was just destiny, and everything was just aligned for that day. We know that MBHS, it would have been a buzz. Green and White, Carpe Diem Nation would have been a buzz, even from the 60th anniversary, and with these shirts coming out. So everybody wanted to
Moss Bertie.
Yes, Moss Bertie shirt. So everybody wanted, the shirt and everything. And we've been doing some little things behind the scene. For example, the 60th anniversary when we did the tree planting. So the shirts, the feature on Tuesdays, Transformation Tuesdays, featuring on social media. So we started, or the students started to see that, hey, greatness really emanated from this institution, and we have persons all over the world who are successful past students. So an opportunity like Alumni Day could not have passed for us to not put something this grand together. But of course, it was all because of Sir Bertram Anderson. So we got, I can safely say probably over 200, 250. Bertram can probably give us the specific figures in terms of persons who would have passed through on the day, representing all the decades, all the years, if you ask me. The aim of the day, or the objective of the day, was to really inspire, to motivate, to teach. And can I tell you that the day really achieved this objective? Because trust me, just seeing the green and white nation on the compound inspired, it motivated, it taught. I saw students cry literal tears because they would have seen these persons. Tony and Singh was there, and I recall a student, I saw Tony and just drawing a young man to say, come take a picture with me, man. And he was like, no, I don't want to. And he said, come, man. And when he stood there and took the picture, the tears flowed from his eyes. Tony would have shared with me too that she remember as a little girl when she saw Lisa Anna, when persons saw Lisa Anna, how they felt knowing that they would have interacted with persons that they just saw on television. For many of our students, because of our geographical location, being in St. Thomas, some who live way up in the hills, they do not get the opportunity to see these lawyers and doctors and media personalities in real life. They don't get that. So when they come to school and they walk in your class and they interact with you and they grab you and they take a selfie with you, that in and of itself is powerful. They would have inspired, they would have motivated. When we call Taurus, I would say, Taurus, we want you. Taurus is there. Shout out to Taurus Riley also. We've never called on Taurus and he's not willing to come in. So it was great. we got other schools very jealous. Yes.
I felt it.
Right.
And there was a lot of back and forth on social media. We were called extra with a H.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I know. I hear it too. I hear it too. But you know what? If it is inspiring our students, if it's motivating our students,
it's all love.
It's fine. I want them to be extra once they are positively motivated to go out there and just to live their best lives, to be the best versions of ourselves. That is what we want.
I want to personally give a shout out to Miss Carrie Ann Coombs. I've never met her, but I know her, or know her family members and stuff. Like I saw some of the work she was doing behind the scenes, putting things together. And some of my friends were there from my era. Miss Janice Jalal, principal of MBHS High School, was there, and we spoke. And she was like, "I'm happy I went. You know, it's a great feeling.
It was
to see everybody coming together to really celebrate Morant Bay High School and what it means to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I thank you for the organizing that you did, and everybody else.
Yes, so shout out to Mr. Anderson and his team. He
Shout out to everybody, man. Andreen, Carrie Ann, everybody else, and everybody else that was. Maureen Thomas was there, a couple of my friends.
Listen, we don't want to get in trouble by singling out persons, so it was like an army of green and white persons that were there.
Key people, but that's such is life. Yeah. Such is life. I want to wrap up by asking you questions about St. Thomas, because this show is about highlighting St. Thomas and people from St. Thomas, which you're a transplant from Clarendon, but it's your home. Historically, I don't think people understand how important St. Thomas is to the existence of Jamaica itself. Your T-shirt says Morant Bay Rebellion, and a lot of people don't even know how important that is. One of my productions, by the way. I never miss an opportunity to say that. Talk about what St. Thomas means to you. What did you think about St. Thomas before you got there, and how you feel about St. Thomas now?
No, okay. Before I got to Morant Bay, I was super excited about going to Morant Bay because, as I shared earlier in my bio, that I did a minor in history at college and so on. So I would have read or learned of Paul Bogle and the Morant Bay Rebellion and what it did for St. Thomas, and not just St. Thomas, but by extension the island. We know that persons all over the world study the legacy of this rebellion or war, as some persons are calling it. And I was super excited to get to Morant Bay because I wanted to see the statue, I wanted to see the courthouse, I wanted to see where they hung Paul Bogle and all that excitement. And I must share that when I got there, though, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because...
Speak on it.
Yeah, I was disappointed because when I got there where their statue was, I saw a madman running around, I saw stalls all over the place. Not that I'm fighting the entrepreneurial development of anyone, but I thought that for a parish with such rich history, a place like where the statue is and a place like the courthouse should be something with a shrine and a literature there to speak of the greatness that would have
preserved and protected.
More preserved and protected. So I was pretty disappointed in that. And also after the courthouse was burnt down again, I'm like, what is it that the Heritage Trust is going to be doing with this establishment? So I was disappointed. I think that St. Thomas has so much greatness. I feel like the culture, both intangible and tangible culture, is so rich in St. Thomas. I feel like the ecotourism, the St. Thomas' greatest assets, which is the people, it's not being talked about or celebrated enough. We have so much history. We talk about the Bath Botanical Garden, right? Bath Fountain, Judgment Cliff, the aggregate that feeds the entire nation. But it's not talked about. I feel like as an institution, Morant Bay High School and all schools, high, primary, in St. Thomas, and by extension, the country has that responsibility to kind of feed the narrative, the positive narrative about the parish. Too often, when you ask about St. Thomas or where you're from, what is echoed is, the Obia parish, or the parish where the Baka Bush or something. Talk about the positive things. When you walk by somewhere like the courthouse, you should walk by with your head held high to say that Paul Bogle and the martyrs fought here and fought for some of the legacies that we are living right now. So we have to change the conversation and extend that to changing the infrastructure in terms of some of our more tangible heritage that is in the parish.
Yeah, talk about, in our pre-interview, you mentioned some of the historical things about the parish. Some you just mentioned that people don't even know. The first breadfruit tree
was planted at Bath Botanical Garden, that the parish too was divided in, I think it was two parishes, St. Thomas in the east and St. David's, that the capital of St. David's was Islington. And I remember passing through Islington one time and at a shop, and they had shared that I think one of the chain that was there, I think they used to sell slaves there. When Paul Bogle was walking from Morant Bay through to Spanish Town, those are some of the areas that he would have passed through. And we have persons living in this place that has this significant history, and they don't know. They don't know. In the U.S., if Abraham Lincoln sat on a bench, there's a big shrine around it and a literature that spoke to the fact that he sat here. We need to, and you notice I'm saying we, even though I'm a Clarendon girl, we need to celebrate what the greatness that said.
You're a Clarendon girl, but sorry, Clarendon, we're not giving her back.
Yeah, we really need to speak. We really need to speak on, the positive things that are in the parish. And as again I say, change the narrative, and it's not just it's not just for the schools to do. Start the conversation at home. Build self-pride, build Black pride, build St. Thomas pride. Elevate the conversation beyond that of a negative perspective and just speak to the positive things that are in St. Thomas.
It is that type of thought process why you've seen a lot of shirts floating around in social media with St. Thomas J.A., Paul Bogle Country, Morant Bay Rebellion, because it's my home and I'm proud to be. There was a period in time when I just migrated to the United States, people were afraid to say they're from St. Thomas. I'm like, I used to ask well, who raised you? What?
Yeah.
My place all day, every day. You know what I mean? I want to thank you for being on my program.
Yes.
We could do this forever and ever and ever and ever. We could go on. I hope you have fun tomorrow night. We're going to make sure you have fun. I'm looking forward to your speech tomorrow night at the Alumni Dinner Dance here in New York City. And I wish you and the team at MBHS, Mrs. Marsha Fullbrand, principal, and all the teachers and everybody up on the hill, wish you all tremendous success and keep representing well. And Clarendon, we're not sending her back here. We have her. She belongs to us. So that's it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. It doesn't cost you any money unless you're just acting funny. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I like
just click the button, and so we could build this platform and show the world what St. Thomas is made of. Thanks again, madam.
Thank you so much, Gary, for having me.
All right, we out.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out our website, thereallicense.com. Join our exercise program, Movements of Ja People. See you next time on The Real License, the only show that's licensed for real.
Yeah, you heard what my baby said.